Welcome back to the Bulldog Halftime Report. I'm Michael Moye. Alongside with me is JB. In Asheville, it's Sanford trailing to Davidson 24-19. And now it's a time for a look on the Brock School of Business scoreboard update online at sanford.edu/NBA. And as always, we'll start with the NCAA.
And we're going to look into the East region where the top-seeded Virginia Cavaliers took care of Coastal Carolina 70-59. Memphis escapes George Washington 71-66. Harvard upsets the fifth-seeded Cincinnati Bearcats 61-57. Michigan State, a lot of people's pick to win this thing, is they take care of business against Delaware 93-78. UNC barely escapes Providence 79-77. Iowa State handles North Carolina Central very easily 93-75. UConn defeats St. Joe's 89-81 in the 7-10 matchup. And finally, 2-seed Villanova defeats Milwaukee by a score of 73-55. Now back to you, Mike.
In the South region in Memphis, it's the top dogs in the Gator Nation, 67-55 against Albany. Now, a surprise of the bracket, it was Pittsburgh dominating Colorado 77-48. In another upset, Stephen F. Austin defeating VCU 77-75. Number 4 UCLA defeating number 13 Tulsa in the tournament 76-59. Ohio State gets upset by the Flyers of Dayton 60-59. Syracuse survives against Western Michigan 77-53. Stanford topping New Mexico 58-53. And to round it out, it's Kansas defeating Eastern Kentucky 80-69. This has been your Brock School of Business scoreboard update. It's the Dogs trailing to Davidson 24-19. We'll send you back to the Pete Hanna Center after these short messages. This has been your Brock School of Business scoreboard update online at sanford.edu/NBA.
Welcome into the Coca-Cola Locker Room Report here on FM 91.1 WVSU. I'm JB, Jonathan Bailey, alongside the great Michael Moye in the Sanford Sports Network studios, where out in Asheville, Sanford sees its season come to a close, falling to Davidson by a score of 67-55. It's time now for a look at our Brock School of Business scoreboard update, brought to you by the Sanford University Brock School of Business, online at sanford.edu/NBA. And we will turn to Michael Moye with your NCAA tournament update. Michael?
In Anaheim, it's in the West region. It's Arizona defeating Weber State 68-59. Gonzaga topping Oklahoma State 85-77. North Dakota State with the upset 80-75 against Oklahoma. San Diego State defeating New Mexico State 73-69. Baylor defeating Nebraska 74-60. Creighton with Dougie McBuckets 76-66 against Louisiana Lafayette. It's the Ducks beating BYU 87-68, and number 2 Wisconsin in the tournament defeating American by a score of 75-35. And yes, they scored 35 points in a total game. Back to you, JB.
And in the Midwest, we're going to start it off how you ended it, another low-scoring game. Wichita State stays undefeated, defeating Cal Poly by a score of 64-37. Kentucky, they get over the hump against Kansas State by a score of 56-49. St. Louis barely escapes a very hot North Carolina State team, defeating them by a score of 83-80. Louisville beats Manhattan 71-64. Tennessee keeps on trucking. The SEC is undefeated in the first round. They defeat UMass by a score of 86-67. Big upset of the tournament. Number 3 Duke falls to the 14th-seeded Mercer Bears, future SoCon member, by the way, by a score of 78-71. UT, the University of Texas, take care of Arizona State in a very close one. Had to claw and scratch out of that one by a score of 87-85. And finally, the second-seeded Michigan Wolverines, they defeat Wofford by a score of 57-40. This has been your Brock School of Business scoreboard update, brought to you by the Sanford University Brock School of Business, online at sanford.edu/NBA. On the other side of the break, we'll throw it back out to Asheville, where Kurt Bloom will have our interview with head coach of the Bulldogs, Mike Morris. You're listening to the Sanford Sports Network on FM 91.1 WVSU.